We should do this. Oh, yeah, this is amazing. So Ilhan Omar, she won her primary bigly.
Hell yeah.
She won, I think, what was it, 57 to 43 percentage points, something like the 40 percentage points. There are people who say that an incumbent should win at least 60% of the vote, or that indicates possible problems. Certainly, Lacey Clay, who lost Cori Bush, people thought that there was an opportunity because Clay only got 57% in 2018 against Bush. The dynamics between Omar's supporters could be different. And of course, we're also talking about somebody who went up against her with $4 million. Nevertheless, big win, double-digit win for Omar. We were told that the squad was going to have a trouble getting reelected. They so far have not, and they won't. And I imagine Ayanna Pressley is okay too in Massachusetts. I don't even know if she has a competition. But that is not the only thing that happened on primary night last night. There were two other primaries that of note. One other was in Minnesota. That is, the Republicans chose a senatorial contender against Tina Smith, and his name is Jason Lewis, and he is a guy who has a history, rather apparently a long history of misogynistic comments that he's made, and has a history of, yes, if you can imagine this, bemoaning the cultural suicide of the white population.
Oh boy.
And so I think that that seat very well may be safe in Minnesota. And then this is very exciting. In Georgia, 14th congressional district, a Republican who was in a primary runoff has won. Her name is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a very red district. She is sure to be headed to Congress in January of next year. Not totally sure, but more or less sure. And here is a montage of footage compiled by Politico about Marjorie, who is a very adamant supporter of QAnon, which of course
hell
is
yeah, baby.
Yes, the vast conspiracy that involves Donald Trump being a sort of like in deep cover while being president to essentially flush out all the pedos in government, something to that effect.
There is an Islamic invasion into our government offices right now. Okay, you saw after midterm elections what we saw, so many Muslims elected. I don't know the exact number, but there were quite a few. We had that woman out of Minnesota. Now she's going into Congress and she's got to wear a head covering. They want to put their hand on the Quran and be sworn in. No, you have to be sworn in on the Bible. But we have an Islamic invasion into our government offices. Now, yes, I'll say this, we have freedom of religion in this country that protects anyone to have any kind of a religion that they want. And that's great. That's one of our freedoms, right? But I'm sorry, anyone that is a Muslim that believes in Sharia law does not belong in our government.
But the generations of Black and Hispanic men, do you want to know what holds them down? Gangs. Being in gangs and dealing drugs is what holds them down. The lack of education is what holds them down. That's not a white person thing, but gangs control them. They tell the young men in their communities, don't go to school. Don't you move out of this project. Don't you move out of this community. You join this gang. And that's where you belong. You belong with us. The gangs are holding them back. It's not white people. It's crazy.
I mean, that's the GOP line, to be fair.
Well, yeah, to be fair, that's that doesn't diverge. I think it gets a lot crazier than that, actually, in terms of her QAnon stuff. Now, let me just say this: we laugh at this now, but when my kids dig up this video from YouTube or whatever it's called, when they're on this, and they see this and they go, "Ha ha, Dad, really funny," because they control all of the government now. I just want to say, I'm sorry, but it's going to be. There's going to be, amusement when she gets into Congress, and to see how Republicans deal with her. This is a failure of the Republican Party. Not just, they didn't put in the proper resources to make sure that their candidate won, or they have also generated this type of insanity amongst their voters. Now, there's a half a dozen other QAnon primary winners unlikely to win a seat in Congress. But I'm telling you now, we used to laugh at people like Mark Meadows in this fashion, and they took over the Republican Party. They were marginal.
Yeah.
And so
QAnon's the new Tea Party.
This is the real right-wing populism. It's not people who want to work with us on antitrust. It's absolute nutcases.
Yeah, I am a little bit jealous that right-wing radicals have had so much more success in infiltrating the Republican Party than left-wing radicals have in the Democratic Party. But you know what? That's just what happens when your party is, shall we say, ideologically unified like the Republicans are.
And also, there's a lot of outside money available for those things. Like, I would be surprised. I don't know this for a fact, but and this is a broad statement. But I would be surprised if at one point this woman had not been involved in Tea Party politics, which were in part, not wholly, funded by outside folks like AFP, like the Koch brothers. Like these other, mechanisms for money to come in, and money has a lot to do with this. And to a certain extent, the left, it takes a little more time to make it just about people, as opposed to huge resources driving people into that situation.
No, that's very true. And the base for these kinds of politics is like the petty bourgeoisie. Like most people that you see ranting about QAnon, they're like, you want to talk about PMCs? They're like doctors and lawyers and all kinds of like somewhat impressive jobs who've just lost their goddamn minds.
I'm a member of the petty bourgeoisie. Isn't that exactly
true?
Yeah.
True, right?
I mean, you think about it as like a way to capture people's attention and just turn it rotten, right? Like, especially like you talk about, Jamie, that class has more time to go down internet rabbit holes, frankly. They could be going towards information that was actually good, but there has to be something out there to lead them into, reaction.
Absolutely. Whereas the potential base for the kind of radical politics that I'm talking about, a lot of them don't vote at the moment and are completely immiserated and depoliticized. So, our job is much harder.
All right, we got time.